marschieren. Ja, wenn ihr jetzt noch irgendwas mit Panzern macht, dann wird es immer besser.
It took a couple weeks, but we were able to fix up the destroyed tank we had encountered and use some of the parts from the old Muffin to try and help get the new Muffin up and running. We realized after our last encounter that the old tank just wasn't going to cut it. The American tank we encountered was actually friendly and wanted to join forces, which was surprising with everything that had happened during the war. A couple of them actually spoke German, so that helped. They told us they got separated from their division once the bombings took place and had lost their way. They too were looking for peace and hope. The two of us set off to a place where the Americans heard one can purchase supplies and get repairs, called a garage. Apparently not all are friendly, but the Americans knew of a place they had relied on a couple times. Being that governments had fallen, there was no need for the money we once had. Now people were using something called credits. Luckily, we found some from the wreckage of the last tank the Americans destroyed. Being in a new tank, we had to learn a lot over again since there were some differences. The tracks squeaked a little more since we had to modify them a bit to work. And we were a little slower since we had to put in our old engine. It felt good to have another tank with us, even though they were always once known as the enemy to us before. But now, they were our friends. The Americans moved in front of us to lead the way as our tanks made their way across the plains. We rolled into a small town once known as Melnikova that read from a partially destroyed sign. It was quiet. Too quiet. The stench of death got stronger as we moved toward the heart of the town. This place seemed deserted, no one around in sight. What happened here, we thought to ourselves. We kept pressing on and moving toward the center of the town. We had found some fuel with some explosives next to it, ammo, and some other resources that might lead us to stay the night. We needed the rest as we were starting to get stir-crazy from sitting in a metal box for so long. The Americans decided to scope out the area for any citizens or survivors in need of help as we parked in front of a large tower. As we rested, the American tank disappeared into the town and we decided to step out and take a look around. Silence had become a comforting but scary thing at the same time. A disturbing slight rumble was felt under our feet. It started to grow louder. That can't be the American tank coming back, could it? We asked ourselves. We looked in horror from a distance as we saw an A-20 Russian tank making its way also into the town along with a KV heavy tank following close behind. We jumped in our tank and tried to hide ourselves the best we could. We had no way of letting the Americans know since the radio from our last tank got shot out and this new tank's radio had been destroyed from the fire. We rolled behind a building and cut our engine just as the Russian tanks entered the town. Everyone in our tank couldn't breathe from the intensity. There was no way we were going to survive if they spotted us. We could hear the sound of their heavyweight vehicles drawing nigh. One of them drove past us as we heard the other one stop somewhere behind our building. We looked around the corner in fear as we could see the tank looking around. Could it be friendly? Russia wasn't on the best of terms with Germany before all this happened, and we had no way of finding out, and we didn't dare try anything. The A-20 behind us started to move towards us, and we knew we had to move or we would be spotted. We slowly tried to creep forward, but accidentally hit the side of the wall, causing a loud crack noise from the distressed wood. The KV moving away from us stopped and started turning its turret around to see where the noise came from. We hit the gas to get out of here, but our tank was stuck on the damaged wall. The A-20 came around the corner to get eyes on what might have caused the noise and spots us. Just before it fires, a shell whizzes past us and bounces off the A-20's turret. Startled, the A-20 looks up to see what had just hit it. We hear the Americans yell, "Get out of there!" We break free and gas it, again, just as the KV takes a shot, barely missing us. But our American friends aren't so lucky as the A-20 nails their tank, taking out their cannon and part of their turret almost completely. The KV turns around to take us on as the A-20 starts to chase us down. Both the American crew and us realize there's no chance of survival if we stay here. The chase is on. "Well, now we know they're not friendly," a family member joked. The KV makes its way back through the town to hunt us down with the A-20. We realize we need to split up if we're going to have any chance of making it through this. We start to lose sight of the KV, luckily, as it's too slow, but the A-20 stays on our tail. We weave between buildings to try and hide once more and shut off our engine. The A-20 moves right by us as the American tanks comes into its view. The A-20 starts to chase the Americans through the main part of the town back towards the fuel. An idea came into one of our family crew members' mind as we decided to repay the debt we owed the Americans for saving our lives. We moved to a position to take aim on the explosives. We waited for the American friends to safely pass. Just as the enemy was about to pass, we fired, and a large explosion caused the A-20 to come to a halt, while on fire from the splash gas explosion burning their crew inside. We got out of there just as the KV came around the corner, looking to take aim once more. I would say a bit of luck saved us this time, but we were in no position to run into another situation like this again until hopefully we can reach the garage.